Yep, doing laundry today. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. Usually the longest I go is I can go up to 2 months without having to do laundry. No problem, no issues. But because of something I'm going to explain a little farther on in this video, I had to put it off for the last month. So it's been almost 3 full months since I've done laundry. But I had to do it today. I had time to put some new sheets on the bed. Running out of chonies. So I'm still using this machine. I love it. Great little machine. There's my Susie. Say, hey, Susie. Ruger was right here. Oh well. Anyway, today's January 12th, Wednesday. Remy's second rebirth day was 2 days ago on the 10th. If you remember on that video I did, Female on the Ranch, 2 years ago, she showed up on January 10th. Just popped right onto my property and into our lives. So there's my Ruger. There's my Ruger. Are you a good Ruger, huh? Yeah. Good puppy. Good morning, everyone. Desert Horizons, AZ Off-Grid Unplugged 3 Hours Cabin Ranch. Almost lost the cabin ranch. It's been quite a few weeks since I've actually recorded a video. I'll catch you up to speed. It was on or around November 18th. I published the video that I was going to take a vacation. And I was feeling great at the time. I thought, this is perfect. Oh, I feel good. So I published that video, and then on that Saturday, the day after the video went up, is when I started digging the trench for the propane line. Like I said, I was 3 hours into it that Saturday morning. I started digging. And it took me about a week to get to the point where I finished up the second part of the propane line. I don't know if any of you actually caught it, but the very beginning of part number 2 actually overlapped the ending of part number 1. That's with Susie laying on her back there by the side of the cabin. Anyway, like I said, that was on November 18th that I published the video of my taking a vacation. Then on or around December 8th, I woke up that morning, and I don't remember exactly when the pain hit, but I know I wasn't out of bed for very long. And it just, my whole right side, from my hip down past my butt, my right thigh, and my right knee was just killing me. So I knew right away that was a sign of sciatica. And if you don't know what sciatica is, pray you never have to learn what it is, because it's a killer. It took me over 20 minutes. Well, you can't see them now, but I have some flannel lounging pants on. It took me over 20 minutes to get them on that morning. Just these things, just to get my foot lifted up and in there and then pulled up. Oh, that was excruciating. It felt like a red hot dagger covered in ice jammed into my leg. Oh man, that was so painful. So, and of course, when I had to sit on the toilet that morning, that just made it so much worse. So I decided right then and there I wasn't going to eat. I had to quit eating. Well, I couldn't sit on the toilet anymore after that. So I went for the next week solid, not eating a thing. On the 6th night, I finally had some chicken broth, if you want to call it that. I took a flavor packet out of some ramen noodles, chicken flavored, and cooked that, heated some water up, poured the flavor packet in, and ate that. It was the only thing I'd eaten for a whole week. And the funny thing was, I never experienced any hunger pains during all that time. After about a week, and believe me, during that week I was searching my brain searching through YouTube, people that I talked to, people that I knew, on what I was going to do, because I knew I could not live with that kind of a pain. It was just so excruciating. I'm used to pain. I have a bad back that I hurt 25 years ago. It's just gradually gotten worse. And I have a high tolerance for pain. I mean, I can handle it. Usually it takes above a 6 or a 7 before it really even bothers me. But it was just, my back pain usually is an 8, 9, or a 10, and a 10 is the highest they go up to, and that's supposed to be worse than childbirth. And that's what I told a friend of mine. It's like, I know for a fact that if childbirth hurt anywhere near as much as the pain that I was experiencing from my sciatica, we would not have 7 billion people on this planet. It'd probably be 1 billion at the most. Because no woman would ever agree to have another one. Anyway, I spent lots of time searching for somebody that I could will the cabin to. I wanted it to be somebody I knew, of course. I wasn't going to just do out a raffle. Of course, that idea crossed my mind too. Like I said, I knew for a fact that if this pain was going to be like this for the rest of my life was going to be very short. It was just, it was excruciating. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't stand, I couldn't walk, I couldn't sit, I couldn't kneel. And to feed the dogs that morning was the worst ever. I had to come out and feed them. So that night, when I came out to feed them, I got a bunch of dog food and I took it in the house so I wouldn't have to come outside anymore. Because it was cold out, and the cold on my leg and my hip and my butt was just making it so much worse. So I stayed inside the cabin as much as I could, the heat on as much as I could. Like I said, I didn't eat anything, so I just gradually kept getting weaker and weaker. I lost, I figured, about 10 pounds. Finally, on the 7th night, I was able to eat a can of chicken soup. I figured I had to start eating something. Had to, because it's just, like I said, I was just getting so weak, and I was already skinny enough as it was. So, like, after about a week of trying to figure out what I was going to do with this place, the pain let up a little bit. It was only about a 1 or 2% drop in the pain level, but at least it was going in the right direction, because that first week it just kept going up and up. Oh God, it was, like I said, if you don't know what sciatica is, pray you never have to learn. But it's a nerve bundle that comes out of your backbone, out of your spine, and goes out past your hip, down through your butt, down your leg, down your knee, all the way down to your foot. And during that first week, I had a decent cache of oxycodones. Yeah, oxycodones. I took 3 of them during that first week, and they didn't even make a dent in the pain. I had some muscle relaxers. I started taking them, and I was able to see a little bit of relief, a little bit of relief. I mean, that's basically it. It started to go down, and everybody kept saying, oh, you got to go to the doctor. And I thought, there's no way I could get in a vehicle and ride for an hour into town to go see the doctor, to have them schedule me an appointment with the specialist 2 weeks or 1 week later, so I'd have to ride all the way back home, then ride back into town to go to the specialist, and then they'd set up an appointment for me to get an x-ray, MRI, or whatever they do, so I'd go back home for another week or 2, and then go back into town it's like, I knew it was just going to be a waste of time to do that. So it was going to be one of those self-medicating things. I looked on YouTube, typed in sciatica, and boom, there was a bunch of doctors there and advice on different stretches you could do to help alleviate pain. Some said they'd take care of it in 5 minutes. So of course I clicked on those. But I gradually built up a regimen of stretches that I could do. Some before I'd even get out of bed in the morning, lifting my leg up, pointing my foot up and down, leaning up against a door like this and pushing the hip in. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but just laying on the ground, I don't remember what they call it, and keeping my stomach, my hips, and my legs flat on the ground, but pushing up as high as I could stand it, and then lowering it back down, starting on my elbows, getting up to that point, and then finally putting these underneath my shoulders and lifting up, doing that. So it was a regimen of stretches, the muscle relaxers that helped me through this. It got me to the point that I could manage the pain. It's to the point now that aspirin does the best job of taking care of the pain. That's the only thing that's ever really worked on my back. Every time I went to the doctor, they would prescribe more oxycodone, and I wouldn't take them because they were useless. They did nothing for my back. Well, it was like I said, the same thing that first week when I took 3 of them. Didn't do a thing. Like, it was just like drinking a glass of water as far as the amount of pain relief I felt from it. So, but it was a combination of the muscle relaxers. I had some that were prescribed for daytime and some that were prescribed for nighttime. And I learned that if I did it the opposite, the pain was much better. So I would take the nighttime ones first thing in the morning, go most of the day, and I'd take another one in the afternoon, late afternoon, and then before I went to bed, I would take a daytime muscle relaxer, and I was able to sleep all night. So I don't know what was causing that. I know that they were marked correctly, the pills. One was methylcarbamol, I think, and the other one was cyclobenzaprine. Like I said, I had lots of doses of oxycodones. So after about 2 weeks, I was able to start the oxycodones where they would work. They would take the pain away to the point that I could get up and move. I could walk around. I could function. So I was able to start eating again because, like I said, I was trying to do everything I could to not have to sit on the toilet, because when I sit down on there, oh man, it was like, I know you've seen people that can lay on a bed of nails. Well, that's because they're so close together, it doesn't make any difference. Imagine sitting on 2 red hot nails right on your right side. Oh, and of course, that's right where the nerve hits. So it was just excruciating. I woke up yesterday morning planning on coming out and doing this video because they were predicting no breeze, no wind, no nothing yesterday. I thought, perfect, I'll come out and do it. Well, I woke up and the wind was just blowing like crazy, and I felt great yesterday. No pain, no nothing, just like I normally would have back in November. So, like I said, today's Wednesday, and I got to film this one day. I edit it the next day, and then I publish it, or I upload it, and then publish it on Friday morning. So that's what I'm trying to do now. After I'd gotten to the point that I could function and do stuff, I had to do laundry, and that's at the beginning part of this video. I talked about doing laundry. The part that I didn't include on there was after I'd started my second load, I went to stand up from the washing machine, and my back went out. It's like, oh, son of a bitch, you know. It's like, after close to a month of suffering through this pain, like I said, it started about December 8th, and this was close to January 6th. I'm not sure, I don't remember what day it was I did the laundry. I had to wash this shirt, had to wash some sheets. But the fact that my back went out, it's like, and because of my back injury, I am highly susceptible to having sciatica. I've gotten different opinions on what my back injury has caused. One of them is arthritis, one of them is bone spurs. I know there's no cartilage between 2 of my lower lumbar bones, whatever the hell they call them. So I'm probably going to have this again during my life. I hope not. God, I hope not. Please, I hope not. Yeah, I was at my wit's end. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was trying to keep my head about me. Believe me, I thought of several different ways I could off myself to get out of this pain. I didn't take them. I wasn't going to do that unless if the pain never got any better. I know I wouldn't be standing here now. But it was because the pain started to improve that I could see signs. And it was, like I said, it was about 1 or 2%, maybe 3% every day. It just kept going down a little bit better, a little bit better, a little better, a little bit. It was like, oh, I could see a light. I could see the light way up there at the end of the tunnel, hoping like hell it wasn't a freight train. So, like I said, I got over the pain pretty much. Like I said, this morning it was bad. I woke up, my butt was hurting, and then it moved up to my hip, and then my thigh started hurting. And that was one of the things that I learned on the YouTube videos, was that if I could get it to move, because doing some of these stretches, it would creep its way back up to my butt and my hips. If I could get it to move, I was highly susceptible to actually being able to fix this. Not necessarily get it to completely go away, but to get the pain gone. Because the damage is being done to my nerve all the time. So for the last week, basically, I've just been laying in bed as much as I possibly can. I did learn that even though I don't have the padding in between some of my lumbar bones, that as you're laying down and sleeping, the blood flows back. If you keep your back straight, the blood flows back in there and starts to replenish it. I don't know if that one can ever be fixed, but it helps. I learned how to sit up straight. I learned how to I had to learn how to sleep on my back. I had to learn, and that's been very tough, because I've been sleeping on my stomach for over 45 years. Every night. I mean, that's the way I fall asleep. I don't wake up that way all the time. Last night I finally got tired of tossing and turning, and I rolled over onto my stomach. Boom, I fell right to sleep. Woke up 3.5 hours later out of one of the deepest sleeps I've ever had. Having a good dream, I remember that. Unfortunately, my brother was in it, but that's a whole other story. It's my brother that's partly responsible for my back injury. I was working at his resort in 1996 when one of his employees threw me into a table and caused the injury. I told him about it. He said if I ever talk about it again, I'd be fired. So he's been in denial about this ever since. And gradually my back just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And now it's got to the point that it's causing sciatica pain. My dad had sciatica, or sciatic, I don't know which way it's supposed to be. Sciatic pain back in the late 70s, and he would complain that he would say he'd be walking along and all of a sudden, boom, his leg would give out. So because of the pain, he couldn't stand on it anymore. So, and none of my other brothers, I don't think they've ever experienced a sciatic pain. I did find out my brother Bill did experience a back injury about 20 years ago. So he understands what I'm going through as far as the pain. Most of the time, when it's in my hip, I would label it as probably about a pain level 7. When it gets into my butt, that's probably about a pain level 8. When it gets into my knee, that's probably about a pain level 9 or 10. But when it's in my thigh, I measure that kind of like the way Spinal Tap measured how loud to turn the music. Except this is even worse. I rated it at a pain level of 17. It was so excruciating. And the chart only goes up 1 to 10. Like I said, and this was about a 17. It was just so... And part of what kept me going was because I knew for a fact that there's been lots of people over the years that have experienced a lot more pain, much worse pain than I was. People that survived house fires got 90% of their body burned. I know that they're suffering. So I know that there's people out there that can deal with it. Like I said, I have a high tolerance for pain, but when I don't see an end to it, you know, because there's no fixing sciatica. I mean, I'm stuck with that. It's just a matter of managing the pain levels. So if I saw no ending to this, it's like, well, why would I want to stick around? You know, it's like I couldn't eat, I couldn't do anything, couldn't enjoy anything I was doing. So, and of course, the puppies were just a real drag at the time because they still wanted to be fed, they wanted to be petted, they wanted to be loved. So, but you see that they're all doing healthy and they're all doing well today. I'm still feeding them breakfast inside the house, inside the cabin. Dinner, I'm feeding them. I come outside and I feed them, trying to keep it as normal and regular to them as possible. If you're even thinking of doing off-grid living, my next video next Friday is all going to be, because I lived in my house in Tucson for just over 4 years. paid the bills, so I know exactly what that cost. I've been here almost 4 full years, and I know exactly what that cost. I'm going to show you the comparison between the two and the difference in living off-grid has made to me as far as finances. It blew my mind when I sat down and did some preliminary numbers a couple days ago on how far ahead I am living off-grid. But I'll have some actual, physical, honest-to-goodness numbers written down for you that I'm going to show you next Friday. So stay tuned for that.